We are live. Some serious connection problems here. I don't know what's going on. Let me see. I got more. All right. Hopefully we got a stable connection here now. I'm gonna go ahead and check these links. Let this place fill up. Then we hit this topic of pre-selection. Yeah, there we go. Let me share this link. Copy link. Oh, darn it. I can't share the link from this phone. How do I do this? All right. Give me a second. I got multiple Twitters and I'm logged into my other Twitter. So, let me get this. Yeah, there we go. Nice. All right, so we're gonna get this popping here in a second. Got some people popping in and out the room. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I'm trying to type, walk and chew gum. You know, I'm not good at that type of stuff. Should have probably done all this before, but I needed this link, so let me just go ahead and throw this up on this Twitter. Come on. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. There we go. Paste. And tweet. Boom. So anyway, we're at 3 minutes. Nothing but nothing. So let me just go ahead and get started here. You know, I've been having this conversation a lot lately with guys, and oh, anyway, let me start off properly. I'm Abuamerican, as you know, and welcome Becky and Ling. Hello, Becky.
Hi.
Hey, Ling.
Hello.
Ah, what's up?
No. So far, so good.
Alhamdulillah. Good. So, I've been talking to guys a lot about like pre-selection over game, and although I don't think that a guy can completely dispose of game, pre-selection is something that a guy should have, or have. It's not something you have. Excuse me. Game is something a guy has and he learns, but pre-selection is more incumbent upon the woman. And when we really look at biology in any species, including the human species, females, women in any species generally tend to be the gatekeepers of sex. They're the sexual gatekeepers. Who reproduces and who doesn't. In humanity, this is a known fact because anything other than female selection for gatekeeping in terms of, sexual access is called rape. If she is not voluntarily having sex with somebody, it's considered rape. And so it stands true in humanity. It stands true in humanity that females are the ones who decide who has sex and who doesn't. So this brings us to a different topic, which is pre-selection. And this is an uncomfortable truth, I think, in the PUA/game world. And it's something that needs to be recognized, period. You can have all the game in the world, but if a woman wants you, she wants you. And that's just a simple fact. There is, and they even say in game, they touch off on it, but they don't give it its due importance. That when a woman views you, she decides quickly as to whether or not you're a type of guy she's going to sleep with or not. Now it's up to you after that point to convince her or to talk her, not to talk her out of being that guy. And this is where game comes in. But generally, she's decided as to whether or not you're going to be that guy. So when we look at Muslims, we're looking at like, whether or not she's gonna marry you or not. If you're gonna be that guy that She's interested in marrying. For me, what's important is now when I talk to guys and they're like looking at new prospects in terms of getting married and whatnot, and wives and women, I'm like, just go for pre-selection. And this requires a lot of patience and it requires a non-scarcity mindset. You have to be able to find a source for sisters first and foremost. Let's put it like this, or women, if you're not Muslim, and then basically churn through hundreds of women and just completely like start shooting women down based off of whether or not they're showing signs of interest in you, genuine signs of interest. Because you have women out there, they'll have interest in your time and your attention, but not in you. You'll have women out there who will waste your time. They want to feel good about themselves and they know you're interested, and that's where the friend zone comes in and all this. Women know that you're interested. They know you have a sexual attraction. They know that, if they put hoo-ha on the table, you'd smash it. They understand this. But they have this like the hamster wheel cutting that stuff off in the back of their head. That's all good. That's for them. You being a friend, that's their personal validation. That's for them. That's not for you. So you have to cut through all of this chaff in terms of these women. Who's the one who's just looking for validation? Who's the one who's just looking for time and attention from some guy who's high value, but she doesn't really have the capability to be with, maybe through family, maybe through her situation, whatever else, or maybe she's just not really interested. And again, she comes back to, validation. That's it right there. Abu Ubaid said it. Someone just wants your validation. Once they get it, they lose interest immediately. Yes, absolutely. So what you have to do is find a methodology, a vetting system. I have a very effective one, to cut these women out and to just get rid of them really rapidly because there's just too many out there. And if your vetting system isn't lock solid, if it isn't lock tight, you're gonna, how much time you're gonna waste, how many years of your life you're gonna waste on women. Jeez, you be depressed, you know. Dread game is good, but dread game is tends to be good when you're in a relationship or whether you're or if you're exceptionally high value male. You're literally the Dorian Gray type guy from 50 Shades of Grey. Then dread game works really well. For like anything else, if you're not in an established relationship, it's not very effective, unfortunately. Anyway, moving on. So, what you want to look for are these women who have like pre-selective like attributes and markers in their personality towards you. She is feeling you, as they say, and you have to be able to sniff these out. What's real, what's fake? Because some women are good at fishing. Some women are good at push and pull. They've been in the game so long of just stealing. I call it stealing validation, that they've gotten a system to where they like feign interest and then they pull back when you start to show interest just so they can feel good about themselves. And you got to find a system to vet these women out and get rid of them quickly. And you can't have a scarcity mindset in this because what's going to happen is, I have a system and I get a lot of like online prospects that I will cut through like a freaking red hot knife through already warm butter, And some of these women, man, they're like, if you go on the scale from like 1 to 10, they're like 9.5. This someone's like, man, you cut her off. I'm like, but you can't have that mentality. You gotta have a non-scarcity mindset in regard to these women. And besides, like, those really super hot chicks that everybody wants, I think they're designed to be alone anyway. I think they're designed for cats. I think they were meant to be together. So, because they can't be happy. They always feel like they can do better. And so they behave accordingly. And what happens is this. They have a constant and consistent cycle of men coming in and out of their life because they have confused being able to attract a man from having the personality and capability to keep one. And it's a very, very different thing. They say a man doesn't have to like you to bang you once. He has to like you to bang you twice. You just remove the word from from bang to relationship, and that's basically it. A man has to like you to stay in a relationship with you. If you just like is more important to a man than love. Lust is always going to be there because we're men, but like is more important. Because if a man doesn't like you, he doesn't want to be around you as a woman. There ain't all the hoo-ha in the world to keep a guy around if he doesn't like you. Abu Ubaid says, To be honest, I don't worry about those types of women at all because the only women I'd consider marrying is very young, inexperienced virgins. That's why it's good to know their fathers. Ah, indeed, that's good. That is something good to know. Um, yeah, yeah, I will bet I agree with you on that one, man. Absolutely. So anyway, guys, what you want to look for are pre-selection markers. Pre-selection is superior to game and on all fronts because what happens is the woman has the idea in her mind like, wow, I like that guy and he's this and he's that and he's that. And women they always got this like, Patrice O'Neill said it. They've got this entire movie playing in their head where they're the cast, the producer, the main star, and it's like you're just a prop. So when you come along and you just don't say anything absolutely stupidly creepy or goofy, she's automatically in her head already built up this, oh wow, look, he is amazing. You just gotta convince her. You don't even have to convince her with pre-selection. You just gotta not be creepy or a dork. And she's gonna fill in the blanks on her own. So pre-selection is superior to game. Game is Game is if you're young and you got a whole lot of time and a whole lot of prospects. Like if you live in Ukraine or something, or you live in Poland or Lithuania, you got tons of freaking hot women running around, and all the dudes are in foreign countries working. Now you got time to run game to try and convince a chick that you're the one. But really, when you're like living a regular life in like the West where we're at, where we're not out in the East, you know, and women are just all over the place because of unchecked hypergamy. You do not want to be wasting your time running game. It's too much work. Just don't do it. You know, apply yourself to something more beneficial, something that is a net win and not a net loss. I'm saying this in front of my girls here, Becky and Ling, they're here, and I don't mean it in a mean way. I don't mean it in a derogatory term, but no matter how you flip it, a woman is a net loss. She's a net loss on time because they want your time and your attention, and they're a net loss on money because they cost a lot of money. So well, no matter what you do, women, okay, yeah, maybe not on the money, but definitely a time. How many hours did they drive today and tomorrow? So no matter how you flip it, women are a net loss. And when something becomes a net loss, what is it? It's a luxury. So women in your life are a luxury item in that particular regard. If you look at a Bentley will drive you just as far as a Volkswagen and just maybe faster, maybe more luxury, but it's a net loss. It's a luxury item. So you got to see women like accordingly. So if you're going to be spending a lot of time and effort on something, you don't want to spend it on time and effort on something that you're not going to have a net win from. A woman, when you get a woman, she's not going to increase your bank account unless she comes into the relationship as a rich woman and she's like, slaps a business on you or whatever else. You're not going to gain more time. So pre-selection is superior to game. You want to find those women who are interested in you and they make things easy for you. Coach Corey Wayne in his book, The 3% Man, talked about this, and he didn't really touch off on it in the way that I'm talking about in terms of pre-selection. But he says when a woman wants you, she opens doors for you. She makes it easy for you. Now Rollo Tomassi has a different way of saying it. Rollo Tomassi says it in a different way. He says, for an alpha, a woman breaks rules. For a beta, she makes rules. So when a woman really has pre-selected you and she really desires and wants you, she makes things easy for you. She's not gonna make you jump through hoops. She's gonna give you congruence tests like any woman is. You're gonna be tested because that's their nature. But they're gonna be easy. They're gonna be light. They're not gonna be difficult because she doesn't want you to fail. That girl you got to run game on. She's looking to shoot you down, and then eventually, after a bunch of back and forth battling with her, yeah, then finally, okay, you convince her, and then what? Then what? Then you gotta start that cycle over again tomorrow or next week or next month because she's hot, and then 18 guys have approached her, on her way to the bathroom from Burger King to like the shopping center door, and then like online she's got hit up like 7,862 times over three different social media platforms. Of course she's gonna test you because to her she's like, oh, the world is mine. There's prospects galore. Did I get the right guy? And then the shit tests start coming, and you don't want to deal with all that stuff. Get pre-selection, guys. And if you run a numbers game like I'm running, you're gonna find that hot, beautiful chick out there that has pre-selected you. It's just a matter of time. So anyway, um, T4JZ, hey, Abuamerican, I'm assuming you have been or are in an interracial relationship. How would you deal with the family from an Islamic point of view? Yes, out of all my relationships, Allah Mustaan, don't ask me how many I've had.
Exactly. And how
two of
many
them,
more to come?
two of them were from continental African women. The rest have all been interracial. You know, I'm not putting my women's names out there and whatnot. That's why I call them Ling, Ling, and Becky. Becky's white Polish, and Ling Ling's from Indonesia. From an Islamic standpoint of view, I mean, you got to take a general standpoint from. Let me start off like this. From my relationships, anyway, it's not something I have to worry about because if they had something against me, they wouldn't have let me in the door in the first place in terms of marrying any of the women folk. Okay, Becky comes from a non-Islamic family, so we had to go a different route through walis and masjids and whatnot. But generally, her family has been quite polite and nice to me. But if you're dealing with a family who doesn't like you, don't mess with them, bro. I wouldn't even mess with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because now you're going to be in a battle, a constant battle of frames between her family and you. And let's say you win the frame battle with her. Now, effectively, at some point, it's going to come to the position where you're going to have to cut her off from her family because you have the frame. Do you really want to do that? Nah, just find someone who's easier, man. Just find an easier, like I said, the non-scarcity mindset. It's her loss. It's her loss. You know? So T4, I'd see it like that. If you're dealing with a family that has a lot of racial issues or racist issues, they probably won't let you in the door in the first place. If they let you in the door in terms of marriage, they're probably not as racist as they're making it out to be, and they're putting on a front or a show for whatever community they're from. If they're giving you a hard time, just keep it stepping, bro, and find another prospect because, again, like I said, it's your loss. It's their loss, not yours, Abu Ubaid says a man must pursue his purpose, and a woman is just a complement to his lifestyle. She's allowed to go. Yes, she's allowed to go along for the ride while the man conquers his purpose. Absolutely. Rich Cooper, he said something that was very true. I'll try to do it without the crudities that he said. He says, when it comes to a race, women don't care about like the losers or what car or equipment or why you lost. They stay at the finish line and wait to bang the winners. Be on your purpose. Women want to be next to the guy who's winning. They don't want to be next to the guy who's losing. Who wants to? I don't want to be next to the guy who's losing. Yeah. Guys over there like he lost. Man, that's my boy, man.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'll see you back at the crib, bro. I ain't gonna. I'm just playing. I wouldn't do that to you. But generally, women want the winner. Women want to be in the orbit of a very successful man who's on his mission. Absolutely, man. I always hear good things about Indonesia. My experience has been, very positive. At this point, I need to go over to Indonesia and check it out and see if I just got like the exception. Yeah, did you hear? No. I need to go to Indonesia and check this out and see if this is standard issue behavior for Indonesian women. But yeah, so far I've been quite pleased with the Indonesian sisters. Mashallah, Mike seems really well. But apparently there's coming back to what you were talking about, TJ. Apparently there's a stigma with black men there. They're scared. They're scared of black men. So I don't know. I gotta go over there and witness it for myself. She might just be trying to put me off. So I don't go over there. What's the real deal?
What?
You know they like me over there.
No.
I see that look. Yeah, they're like, bro, hit it. So yeah. Hypergamy wants a winner. Yeah, first, second, or third. Unchecked hypergamy only wants first place. Yeah. Hypergamy always seeks to settle up. It always looks to go up. And that's really the problem isn't hypergamy. The problem is unchecked hypergamy. And we're going to try and stay on topic of preselection here, but going into that, the problem isn't hypergamy on itself. Hypergamy has brought humanity to the position we're in right now. I mean, you have to imagine, really, when we look in the wild, hypergamy takes place there too. It's just because most species outside of humanity are what do they call it? Tournament species. So the alpha male wins and he gets all the babes of his species. That's the hypergamy. That the top dog, the weakest skinny wolf who loses the match doesn't reproduce. He just doesn't reproduce. The alpha wolf who beat everybody down, bit them on the neck and won, he gets the luxury of being the top dog. Same thing with lions, same things with cuttlefish, you name it, same things with chimpanzees. Any species you come across, the top of that species, in terms of the males, is the one that reproduces. In humanity, hypergamy takes that position because we have more intelligence than them, and we can't go around bashing each other over the head and killing each other just to reproduce. Maybe we should, and humanity would be significantly better off for it. I have a hypothesis about this that
But
we
they
do
used to do
need.
that, don't they?
Yeah, they used to do that. That we do need a degree of like unchecked violence in humanity. Because people would say, like, what would they say? Only savages and brutes would be left behind. No, that's not true because we're intelligent, and because we're intelligent, the one who is more intelligent than the brute would find a way to overcome the brute, aka he'd invent a gun or a spear or a bow and arrow. And this is why we see our progression as a species continuing like this, because the best keep on reproducing. And women are at the forefront of that. But when it becomes unchecked, what it does is it throws everything on its head. And now guys that shouldn't be reproducing are reproducing. And it's just really, it's a hot mess because they're just going for pure, unadulterated, what appears to be alpha attributes in terms of physicality and confidence. But most of the time when we look at these guys, they lack competence. And this is important in our species. Uh, yeah. Becky want to say something. What's up, Becky?
No, like you said about the beta males and stuff like that. When they reproduce, the women are unhappy. They only have kids because they have to or because of the family, but they're actually in a marriage. They're really unhappy because the man they can't give them whatever they need. So they can't keep them happy in the sexual way. They can't keep them happy in a social way. They literally, like, sometimes they live in a different room, so to say, from the woman, where they don't even sleep together in one bed.
Hopefully you guys can hear that.
So
Um, this is a point that I've heard twice, and I wanted to make a video on it. I need to go ahead and download the videos and cut those clips out. Two separate women said in two different. These are women who are totally disconnected from one another. They don't know each other. Two different interviews, two different topics. But both times the women said that, society has provided beta males access to women where they normally wouldn't have it. And yeah,
the
I don't know if you could hear her, but
culture, yeah.
yeah, Becky's basically saying that. She's saying it's like, women have kids with beta males and whatnot, and guys that are
But they're not
considered,
happy.
yeah, but they're not happy. And this is really when we look at the root of like divorce, rape, and all this type of stuff that's taking place. That's really. Ling down here dancing on that one. You got a story for us?
Mm, that's secret.
Oh, okay. So she don't want to talk about that one. But yeah, generally I've seen this multiple times. I wanted to make a video on it, but it's just time. I work a regular job. I'm trying to do stuff. Trying to research businesses and whatnot, and working on businesses. So it's just not. It's a matter of time. But hopefully things will pick up. I'm working on a system that'll let me get more videos out. I'm assuming pre-selection is that you have access to women who want you already, but I could be wrong. No, T4JZ, you have to actively, unfortunately, like I said, in general, and it's not meant to be offensive, but in general, women are a net loss when it comes down to time. And so you're going to spend time mining, if you will. If you're looking for something, you're going to spend time trying to find it. So you have to actually like find a source of women, if for lack of a better term, and start taking them through the vetting process of pre-selection to find out who's actually into you, and who actually wants you. Pre-selected women who pre-select you, they're going to they're going to pretty much accept your frame in general anyway. So most of the guys that I talk to, they're interested in polygyny. I'm obviously in polygyny, and so a woman who selects you for pre-selection, she's going to accept your frame, and in terms of like she's going to see you in a position where it's like, I'd rather be with this guy, as long as you're doing things generally, well, rather than some, like Becky was saying, some beta male, and he's doting over her, just real. Oh,
Like, everything's like, yes, darling, okay, my darling, okay.
there you go.
It's like,
You hear it.
hello.
Exactly. There you go. You're drooling and tripping over yourself, and you've lost your purpose, you've lost your mission. They would rather be with that successful guy who finished the race first, than the guy who finished last, and he's just, ugh. Yeah. Abu Bayt says women would be in a harem, be concubines for their high status man. They won't admit it. They'd show you with their actions. Abu Bayt, that's changed with unchecked hypergamy. I don't know if it's unfortunate. I think it's kind of, nice actually to see the reality. I've seen more than one woman say that they'd rather be with a guy in his orbit, and they know he's like high value, and they know he has multiple women,
Yeah.
than be with one man.
Well, some do that though.
Yeah, some guys do that. I always do that. But they'd rather be with that guy, knowing he has multiple women in his life, and knowing they're with a successful guy, because that says more about her and her value than being with one guy who's just like, this lame bum around the corner who has zero ambitions, doesn't take care of himself, doesn't take care of himself financially, he doesn't take himself intellectually, physically. He's just existing, and so yeah, women would rather be with that guy, knowing he has multiple women, than they would be with that guy who's, Mr. Snuffleupagus guy. T4JZ, beta males have messed up the marriage market here in the UK along with dodgy mothers. Beta males have given women the excuse to be abusive to men. That's something I noticed in London. When I was staying in London, I was staying out in East London, and I was in Stratford a lot. I was in just Stratford, wandering around, trying to check out the scene, look at what's going on, how the society is, how it's developed. Maybe a few prospects, possibly, whatnot. But generally, just getting the feel of the city. This was when I was new there. And one thing I said to a brother, I can't remember who it was, but I said to him, I said, man, this place is wrecked. Because dudes were like ultra beta simps when it came to women. I mean, they were literally walking around, buying these chicks everything they could spend their paycheck on, and then carrying the bags to top it off. I'm like, dang, I'll tell her right here in front of my girls, if I'm going to buy you something, you carrying that stuff. That's yours. I paid for it. Why I got to carry it? These dudes ain't even got that part of the game down. It's like, I spent my hard-earned money with dickheads I don't like at the job. I bought this for, man, you carrying, you better put it on or something, or staying here in the store. I treat my kids the same way.
No, I can't.
You have to buy it.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Who pushes the shopping cart when we go shopping?
But you carry it.
Yeah, I carry it because you're pregnant, but the shopping cart, who pushes that?
Me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who pushes? We were in that store, that ethnic store, and I was carrying, you wanted me to carry the basket, and I put the basket down on the ground and I walked off. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Becky remembers that. I was like, that's staying right here on the ground, and she ended up carrying that basket. Don't do that stuff. Dudes in London are terrible. See, I had to untrain Becky from that stuff. She was all into that, like seeing dudes carrying baskets. We were all happy. Oh, what's this goofy dude doing?
It's heavy stuff, man. Heavy stuff.
Hey, you're a personal trainer.
Yeah, and
Miss Krav Maga. You,
yeah.
you want to be
But
hardcore.
doesn't mean I don't
Hey,
appreciate
you
chivalry,
go girl,
right?
okay?
Chivalry.
I'm gonna give you some go girl. You can carry that stuff.
Thank you very much.
You ain't gonna get
Yeah.
you ain't gonna get
I'm
no
an old-fashioned chivalry.
yeah, you ain't gonna get no fat on you. I'm gonna make sure you carry all that heavy stuff. Okay?
I work out 5 days a week.
There you go. Here, there you go. Add it on to it. Abu Bayt, I'm more of a Sigma male. Yeah, whatchamacallit? GK. I'm sure you listen to GK. GK is a Sigma male.
What does that mean?
Oh, Sigma male. You got it like alpha male, beta male, Sigma male. You got like a whole bunch of different like classifications.
But it's a male, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, London's messed up. London is a good place for pre-selection if you're a guy who's on his mission. You're gonna find that there's gonna be you're like a cup of water in the desert if you're on your mission in London, and you're not deferring to the average woman out there. Let me tell you, them sisters out there are thirsty, and this is why you got a problem in London with a lot of these sisters messing with these non-Muslim guys. And why you got this is turned into an issue. Where you got sisters out there with non-Muslim guys. Establishing these haram relationships because brothers have gone full just lame, and they don't have a clue because their fathers haven't taught them about preselection. Their fathers haven't taught them about sexual urgency, about competition anxiety, you know? And so they can't act any way different. Their entire model of women, is, yeah, well, it is women are the sexual gatekeepers, but they've taken it to an extreme to where it's just like they're ultra
Yeah, because they wait
beta
till
simps.
until the mommy find them a wife.
Yeah, there you go. See, mom finds them a wife. Yeah, gosh, I can't say I want my mom to find me a wife. I love my mom to death. I love my mom. I don't want her finding me a wife. It just ain't gonna happen, man. So no. But then that's a cultural thing too. You got some cultures that's what they do. I ain't gonna crap on those brothers either. It's in their culture. But part of like part of developing yourself as a man is going out there and getting shot down by women. This is something you have to learn because where are you going to get the experience? There's an automatic understanding for most women that they want you to just get it. You're not just going to get it without any experience. How are you going to, it's not going to come out of nowhere. So, you got to get out there sometimes. Yeah, in East London, a lot of beta brothers and fitting females. London is full of fitting females, boy. And what's the problem with London, man? I know this is off topic, but London, man, there's like no in between, man. It's either the sisters are super fine or they're super fat. I don't know what the heck's going on in there. And then all the dang phone cover, it doesn't plug in properly. Still no sound.
No sound?
Okay, I'll just unplug this thing. Can you guys hear me now? How about now? Sound? Can you hear me? Someone give me a thumbs up for sound. No? Yes?
Yeah, there's a sound.
Okay. Yeah, I got sound on this one phone over here. Okay. Um. Anyway, I was supposed to do an interview with these brothers, and they had a list of questions. They wanted to, ask Becky and Ling some questions. So, you know, cause really I don't have them on the show a whole lot, and so
And you should.
people were, they're like asking questions. Are they actually happy? Are they mad? Are they this? Are they that? And so cats wanted to ask questions. So of course I'm gonna act as a filter. If you have any questions for Becky and Ling, don't be trying to hit on my girls, man. We're gonna fight. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. All right. But if you got any questions for them, they can answer. I'll ask them. I'll filter them. I'll go through them, inshallah. But if you guys got any questions, the forum is open. Becky and Ling, y'all got anything you want to say? Hey man, don't say anything to me. We want to fight you. Remember, this camera turns off. All right. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
About what?
Nothing.
Questions, isn't it?
Nobody got any questions? Well, no, but it's just generally when I say questions, we have general questions in terms of like it's more like an interview in terms of people, especially for women, because women like women, they seem to question the status quo. They seem to like have this idea that people can't be happily married polygynously.
Nope.
and that's not true. Especially, I'm like Ling's in a few groups online, and sisters are just bitter. I mean, and it's like the more practicing they are, the more bitter they become.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So when you're dealing with women online, especially, they don't believe that you can be happy. So this is more or less to dispel that idea that it's not perfect. No relationship is ever going to be perfect. But yeah, that's what it is. My question is, how do they deal with judgmental sisters who don't agree with their polygynous relationship?
Oh, they got my middle finger.
Did y'all catch that? So T4 Jay Z, her answer was those sisters catch the middle finger. Yeah. Generally, a lot of guys don't want to hear this stuff. A lot of women don't want to hear this stuff. You got to be real critical of like who your wife, even if you're monogamous, who your wife takes as friends. Because a lot of women are bitter, and they will wreck a relationship. You know, and if you want proof of that, just look at how they treat one another. They know that women look terrible. They know it. They know that a chick looks fat in her clothes, and then when her friend asks her, "How do I look?" They don't say, "Hey, you know what? That's really not your style." Say, "Oh, baby, you look so cute. You look so amazing. This, that, the other, this, that." And they let her go out looking like hot trash in the middle of the summer, you know, knowingly, so that they can get the validation of male attention, because now just opposed to her is this hot sack of trash. Women, they're vicious, man. They're vicious. This is how women operate. Men, we punch each other in the face. Women, they undermine one another socially, including their relationships.
They're a snake.
Yeah, they're snakes. So you have to be critical of this. And this is something that's important when it comes down to competence, where your woman needs to trust you, because her connections to her friends are emotional ones more than anything else. Men, we're more critical. We're more analytical of our relationships in terms of who we're dealing with and who we let in our circles. And so when we look at women, we're like, yo, that girl ain't your friend. And it's an emotional connection. Maybe she knew her from school, but it's like, nah, that's one of them people that's been in your orbit for a while, and every chance they get to cut you under or undercut you, they do it. Women need that, especially when you get married, because they will mess up your relationship. I experienced it with my marriage to my ex Somali wife, in Qatar. Her friends were freaking. They weren't even hiding it, and she prioritized their friends, over everyone ever and everything else. And so, I mean, the underhanded dirt they got up to is just, oof. Uh, Another one says, I've noticed in my workplace, because I don't bother with them, it's like running natural game. I noticed the congruence test sometimes. I guess you're talking about the situation at work with women. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Women don't like other women to succeed, and then they blame men for the lack of advancement. I'd agree with that. Women have competition and anxiety, but that doesn't mean they always like it. And when you're in a relationship with multiple women, this is something that's very difficult to like. You know, it's not difficult. No, it is difficult. Let me be honest with you guys. It's difficult. It's not easy. You don't you don't want to sit in front of. I'm sitting in front of Becky and like this. You don't want to sit in front of one of them, like, and then you get mad and you're like, oh well, Becky doesn't do that or Ling doesn't do that. You don't want to. You might think it sometimes, but you don't want to. You don't want to bring that stuff out, because that's like you could play on like emotional type of like internal biological mechanisms in terms of competition anxiety, and that's just really like that's you can mess up your relationship like that. It's not something you really want to do, but it's difficult not to do it at the same time, because we're human beings, and when you have two people in your life.
Well, that's the whole point of people being different, isn't it? So you do one thing with one other person,
Yeah.
different thing with another, so you don't get bored. Otherwise, if both people were doing the same thing, you will get bored of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But then there's also a
So you have
baseline when
variety.
it comes down to frame, because there's the baseline of frame, and there's an
Yeah, that's different.
expectation.
That's different.
Yeah, but there's still an expectation that there's a considered to be a universal accepted standard in terms
There's
of
rules and
behavior.
there's character.
Exactly. There's rules. Frame. It's implied in the name, of the frame stops things from going a certain place. It's a border, and then like if there's no frame, then there's a problem. And so there's an expected frame, expected universal frame, in terms of behavior that It's expected. How many times are you gonna use expected? In terms of behavior, and so that's difficult to not to let slip out. Is it bad? It can be. You shouldn't do it, but it happens. We're people. Yeah, TJ, that is true. That is a slightly different topic. Again, you're right though. Women undermine one another, and it's not it's not cool. And then men catch heat for it, and I don't know why they do that. They're goofy.
Not all of them.
Most of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in the Polygyny group, they are like, they lift one another. I mean, if you're wrong, they tell you that you are wrong, and you gotta accept that.
Do they do it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a bitter truth, but they do that.
Well, I don't know. How often does that happen?
Very often.
Really?
Yeah. But most of them came from non-Muslims, of course.
This is that mixed group where it's like Muslims and non-Muslims. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. That the bitter truths that need to be accepted come from the non-Muslim women.
Yeah, most of them.
Oh gosh, that's bad. Question for the sisters: would you say your sister wives is your best friends? Man, that's an awkward question, dude. I'm gonna answer that one. I would probably say no. I'm sure they got their own best friends. It's like a different. I think the relationship in the house is slightly different than like best friends. I don't know if that's possible for best friends to be married to one man. There's an automatic like just canceling out there. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I think it's like you could be cool, but I don't think there could be like best friends. I don't know. I'm guessworking this one here from a basic mental standpoint, but I don't know. What do you think? Can you when you think of your best friend?
I don't know if.
Could you imagine her being your co-wife?
Friend. What?
Could you imagine? Yeah, being your co-wife.
I mean, with the co-wife.
Yeah, you have your best friends back home from school or whatever else, and then
It's
I marry
different.
her.
For me, it's a sister that I love for Allah. That she loves you. That I'm happy with that.
Okay, but socially you have a best friend also, right?
Yeah, but that's a whole different level.
Okay,
It's
but
the
can you
friends
imagine
level.
that friends level? Could you imagine her being your co-wife and then still being your best friend?
I think if she's cool, I'm cool.
Okay, and what about you? What do you think? Do you think you could think of your best friend and then imagine her being married to me? Would she stay your best friend? Okay.
I'm a loner.
Well, then I don't know what to say then. Well, thanks for nothing, buddy. It was an awesome answer. A little imagination here, please.
No, I think that'll be too much like of a conflict issue. Because obviously, it's like if you want to do the same thing, then just like you want to talk about stuff what you do with your man or whatever sometimes. And obviously, if you are married to the same man, then it's going to be like, okay, you're doing this, so I want to do that. But then he did that already with you, so it's like I don't want to do that. And
I think if she's your best friend, she's just gonna be like, all right.
depends.
I mean, best friends can, accept whatever you are. Well, that's my opinion.
Well, we got two conflicting answers, so there you go. Individuality characteristics, whatnot, is where stuff comes into play. There's universalities just like us and men. We have our particular universalities, and then there's the individual characters. So here we go. I think this is something that, you'd have to establish with whatever woman you're in a relationship with or you're looking to get, in a relationship with. So, yeah, it's not that, I guess it's not so cut and white. But, okay, I guess what, Becky was talking about, I kind of I feel the same way. I don't know if that's real, if that's possible. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing, because we have two entirely different cultures. I don't know. I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't bet on it. If you're going to actually have,
I don't need to having adjustment faster. I mean, when somebody's new come to your life, I need to have that adjustment with her, right?
Okay.
But if I know her before, then I was like, oh my god.
You know who you're dealing with, basically.
Yeah,
You're not dealing with a stranger.
Yes. I hate strangers. I don't accept anybody new. New.
Okay, there you go. She hates strangers. That's a very nice mentality to have. I'm not a fan of strangers either.
We're talking about women.
Yeah, you're
So, it's okay. Okay. Accepting of co-wives due to their collective culture until recently wasn't something that was widely accepted. I lost connection there. Let me check my internet connection here. Yeah. Wasn't considered to be something that was widely accepted. So I don't know. I don't
that.
Too much trouble already.
know.
Yeah.
Always on the hunt. It's just, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay.
It would have been nice to have like some sisters on here. There's a few sisters that like watch the channel. I would have liked to have had them here. Get some questions from them, but doesn't look like that's gonna happen. We're up on 47 minutes here. I think there's about 15 more minutes, and I'm gonna call it quits on this one. Anybody got any questions for me? In general questions. Get work. Abu Baid, when you first meet a woman, should you show them you're actually smart or wait? Yeah. Well, there you go. Some women don't like dumb guys. Some women like dumb guys because we see that they select these like bums, these gangster types that are they're obviously bums. So again, comes back to personality. Me personally, I don't want to push this stupid thing that doesn't work. Just be yourself. But at the same time, if you're a smart guy, man, be a smart guy. Make all. I made a video about this for a guy a while back. It's like find what works in regards to women. This is where game comes into play, and alter your character accordingly. But because if you're just being yourself and it's not getting you the results you want, then obviously you need to try something new. So if you're a nerdy guy, don't try and be a gangster. You can recreate yourself as a gangster, but that nerdy guy is going to pop out here and there. So go for cocky funny because it's easy for you as an intelligent guy to be funny. And then when you get confidence, that cockiness comes naturally. So if you're intelligent, show it. Just make sure you is a rarity. Was you in a polygynous marriage in East London? If so, what do people think of it?
Why should people? What should think about people think?
Yeah, pretty much. I never really gave a damn about what people thought about it, because generally when it comes to men, I know they all want to do it anyway. So I didn't care what the men thought about it because I knew they wanted to do it. And the angrier they got about it, the more I knew that they were upset that they weren't doing it and I was. Um, the East London was a little bit was slightly different in terms of because I wasn't really, to be honest, I wasn't really open about it. I wasn't sure how the relationship was going to go, and it actually went bad. With my ex there, and so I wasn't really open about it because she was really me and this internet connection, man. I don't know what's going on with this connection today. I didn't even really get into a whole lot of openness about that one because I wasn't really sure it was going to work out well, and it didn't work out well. I tried, but yeah. So it wasn't worth any hardships or problems, you know, that you would go through with a stable marriage, because I had a relatively stable marriage with Becky. We've had our share of problems, but relatively stable marriage for an unstable one. Because no matter what anybody says, as happy as I am with my girls, the day I add another woman to the mix, it's going to cause a degree of instability. I understand this. I'm saying this in front of them. It's going to cause a degree of problem somewhere,
Yeah.
surface or under the surface.
Yeah.
Something's going to ripple.
Yeah.
And if you are with a woman that's like not even really, you're not even sure if she's going to be there tomorrow, man, why even go through all the hardship and all the ripples and all the problems and the knock, all the ripples and all the problems and the knockoff side effects you're going to have in your other relationship? Man, internet. Ah man, my internet, man. I gotta call my provider on Monday. Oh, they're 24 hours. I can call them today. So anyway, yeah, 24 hours. I can call them today. So anyway, yeah, I hope that answers your question about East London. Day one, the day of the marriage, I was like, okay, this is a problem. She was a really problematic woman, and I made it. I tried to keep it together as long as I could, but there was under no circumstances where I was like, I'm not gonna mess up a stable situation for an unstable one.
Want
No, no, it's good. I'm I'm on 440 OM,
Alright.
but even that one's like unstable. I don't know why. That one's tends to be more stable.
Oh, with my mobile data, if you want it.
Let's see how it continues here. We're not gonna stay out much longer anyway.
Alright.
So, so yeah. Especially going back to the topic of pre-selection. Becky was definitely like pre-selection. I caught that real quick. She was really into me. She was like mad crazy into me. Yeah. Still is. Look at her.
Like here, huh?
Ling Ling was like, I met Ling Ling online, and so it was a little bit harder to tell, But I got the general idea. I ran her through the ringer in terms of tests. I actually tried to run her off, and
How?
she stuck around.
What did you do?
I'm sorry, I can't tell my secrets online. Some of these things, unfortunately, you guys are gonna have to pay for. I can't give you all these secrets for free. Some of this stuff is just is gold. It's years and years of refinement. I just can't give it away. But yeah, I tried to run her off. I really did. I was like, yeah. She kept coming back. It's like Patrice O'Neal said, she's the fish that jumped back in the boat after you caught it. Abu Obeid, you know what? I agree and I disagree. Abu Obeid says, I don't care if it becomes unstable. Here's the thing. There comes a point where it's like you start to realize we understand the truth from the hadith because Abu Ubaid's Muslim if you haven't figured it out. The hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said, when he said about the men who were sitting on the side of the road and he said, lower your gaze and if you feel a certain way, go home to your wives because all women have something similar. At the end of the day, to a large degree, once the sex act is finished, once you're finished in the bedroom, it's really the same feeling at the end. You might love one woman more than another, whatever else, but the closeout feeling is the same. I just coached a brother, he got married, he consummated the marriage, and like a day later, I mean literally a day later, they're still in like the wedding nights where she has like her set. He wants to divorce her because the smash out, was like, okay, yeah, I got something new, I got some strange, and now I'm like, ugh, And there comes a point where you just get kind of tired of it, bro. Bang that. He's banging like every nation. The guy's tired. There comes a point where you're just sick of running through women, and it's you look for something stable. You don't want to go beta, but at the same time, it's just like it gets kind of boring. And it's like I said, this is why I've changed the pre-selection as opposed to game because you just don't want to waste a bunch of time on women, dude. It just gets tiring. It's just at some point they all become generally annoying. So if you can get like a stable relationship with women that you like, and I said this earlier in this video, that you want to be with women you like. If you can get a stable relationship with women that you like, it's worth keeping it together. But this also comes back to something else, which is frame. Whose frame is the top and priority one? You don't want to like have it at any and all expense to where your frame is lost and now you basically become a miserable beta. You don't want to do that either. But at the same time, man, it's like it just gets tiring, man. It just gets boring. They're all annoying. And I'm looking for prospects left and right, and you meet some girls, and it's like, man, after about like the fifth sentence, you're like, you just want to brush your teeth and spit, because it's just. I say this all the time. I say this to them, and I'm saying it in front of them, but I've said it to them before. It is very difficult to like women. And so guys want to try and bang them through the friend zone. Oh, I got guy friends. I must be a great person. Oh, that guy wants to talk to me. I must be. No, everybody just wants to get in your pants. And so they don't realize that they're just walking massive anal sphincters. So when you find a woman that you actually honestly like, I'm not talking purple pill beta stuff here either. It's just, that's something different, man. That's something special. And if you find women that you like and they're in your frame, dude, man, you know, do you really want to mess it up? You know, this is like finding that good job. You know what I'm saying? And then like, do you really want to mess it up if you're getting paid good money? And
Yeah, with your moods.
yeah, they know I'll pull the trigger quick. That I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, oh, it's like that. Now I'll double down on my search, you know, and start piling up the sisters.
Causing
You
more
out,
problems.
you,
Yeah, true.
you know. Yeah, I don't have a scarcity mindset, you know. Love them to death, my girls, but there's only one of me.
Yeah.
What is the funnel you use to get in contact with prospects? T4JZ, contact me, please, on one of the email, redpillarbital@gmail.com. And I'll give you some details there. Hit me up on that private. This is not something I want to talk about publicly because that issue that I was talking about with London and, you know, Muslims and non-Muslims, you know, you got non-Muslim guys. There's entire forums out there on guys who are literally targeting Muslim sisters because they understand that the prospects that they're getting in terms of Muslim men are low and they're terrible. And so I'm not trying to give any, you know, guys on this platform access to sisters. You know, there are some platforms where you have like high access. I'll shoot them to you, but on catch me on private email, huh? Is it possible to be too much of a scarcity mindset? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, bro. Is it possible to be too much of a scarcity mindset? I'm not really sure what you mean, Abu Ubaid. Too much of a scarcity mindset. I mean,
Scared of this, scared of that.
Scarcity mindset. I made another video about this just recently, and it's like there's guys that have a scarcity mindset in regards to like work. Like there's this guy I work with in the past. His name was Ralph. Guy is a freaking literally don't care about losing a woman. Oh no. There's no such thing. I think unless no, I don't think there is. Okay, no. Like, can you have to where your scarcity mindset or lack of it becomes like just like, you know, I don't care. I don't think, you know, actually I never thought about this. Actually, Abu Ubaid, you got stuff popping in my head here. It can lead you to make bad decisions and choices. This goes back to what I was saying in regards to like, you know, when you have a stable relationship with a good woman, you know, and that's a rare find, a good woman. Where do you find this, bro? But if you find one that's a decent woman, let's say it's like this, and you're happy, do you really want to just throw it away over something as small as like a regular congruence test? You see what I'm saying? It's, sometimes there's congruence tests that they just set me off. You know, I might already be in a mood, and then like one of the girls will throw something at me, and it's really minor, but it's just like I'm a human, and then bam, you know, I'm just like you know, I'll just flip out because I already had a crappy day. You know,
but that's not fair because you're taking it enough. It's not fair. Leave your problems outside.
hey, timing is everything, buddy.
No.
Okay.
That's not fair.
Tell that to a
Because we're
boxer.
getting your
Timing
shit.
doesn't matter.
We're getting your shit.
This is and this is part of frame. Now, see, to a degree, I have to agree with her to a small percentage. But I also have to disagree. Here's the thing. Now, see, that shows. And I'm not trying to say I'm perfect, but somewhere along the line, I don't want to do a comparative, but we're going to talk about a comparative here. We're going to talk about a comparative between Becky and Ling here, and it is not meant to be rude. These are different people. Of course, you're going to have different outcomes and results. For whatever reason, Ling's better at picking up on my moods than you are.
Because I'm not here all the time.
Okay.
I'm here once a month.
Okay, fine. But
if I was here 24/7, of course I would.
Whatever. We're having a different conversation now. We're having a different conversation. Yes, but
stop it.
The fact is, I've been together with you longer.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I know with you. We live together in London. I don't know what she's talking about.
For 6 months. Maybe.
Yeah. Longer.
No. You went in and out, remember?
In and out. Yeah, in and out because I got so many women. Higher frame expectations or whatnot, and she doesn't pick up on my mood, and so she'll just drop some goofy congruence test like right now on camera, you know, at like a perfectly wrong time. You know, Ling here, she's got good timing. She knows when to come at me with something. She's like, that dude's not in a good mood right now. And let me just, you know, because she has a different frame reaction, and every woman's gonna have a different frame reaction to you than he has a different frame reaction, and every woman's gonna have a different frame reaction to you than another one. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, but different if I was here, wasn't it?
So I can agree and I can disagree. See, this just shows that somewhere along the lines, there's a cracked frame to which she's like, for whether it's real or perceived on her part, to where frame to which she's like, for whether it's real or perceived on her part, to where she feels like she needs to give some pushback. To where Becky Ling doesn't have this feeling. This is also part of individuality. You know, when you're dealing with like separate individuals, it's never going to be perfect. You know, like I said, all relationships aren't perfect. Mine aren't perfect. You know. But I'm generally happy.
Nobody's perfect, unfortunately.
I'm more perfect than you, thank you.
Who said that?
Me?
Exactly.
Abuamerican.
I can say that about myself, right?
So yeah, Abu Obeid, yes, that is truth though. That's a 100% standing point in for me in my house, my way or the highway, absolutely.
Only the prophet was embarrassed.
Yeah. Also, different cultures has a different effect on congruence tests as a woman gives. Absolutely. You know, Ling here grew up in Indonesia, in the West, living in London. She has more Western
I
ideologies.
grew up in Poland, thank you very much.
Y'all are still Westerners. Y'all are still Westerners.
I have no idea about stuff like that.
Y'all are
before.
still Westerners.
I grew up in the countryside.
Yeah, and you've been in London how long?
Yeah, 13 years.
13 years. That's not going to have an effect on you,
I
right?
don't go anywhere. I don't see people. I don't speak to people.
Yes, but the cultural, sitting amongst the people so long for 13 years has an effect on you.
Well, I'm not much with people. I hate crowded places.
You work with people. You've been in your apartment for 13 years, didn't go out and work and pay rent, nothing? No?
Almost. I work with people.
Now you see the hamster wheel going? You see the hamster wheel going. Look at this. I almost didn't leave my house for 13 years. Yeah, the rent was just paid magically by the magic rent fairy. Pling! I didn't have to go to work. you see how women will do anything to try and win an argument.
That's
You see this. This is beautiful.
Work, I don't go out. That's the difference.
Do you work with people?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But I don't go out to socialize
Okay, but
separately.
you're socializing by default with people when you go in public.
Not in that way.
Dude.
Working, you concentrate on work. As a trainer, you train people, you get out of class, that's it, you're done.
And you personalize that training, right?
Yeah.
Do you know your clients' names?
No. Sometimes.
So you're like, hey, random person, 30 push-ups.
Yeah.
You don't say,
yeah, literally.
Lisa, 30 push-ups.
If they come regularly, I know that. If they come once in a while, I don't even know the names.
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Uh-huh. So how do you know you're supposed to have that client then? Random person supposed to come today. That's my checklist. Yes. Are you the random person for class today, or are you? Yes, you. Random person one.
If there's a personal training, then yes, I know the name.
And you see what they do to try and win arguments. You see this? This is what I'm talking about. When Becky gives me pushback, you know that's some goofy stuff right there. You ain't no crowd, please tell me what's personal about personal training. You don't know your client's name. You ain't a personal trainer. You're
I don't know.
trainer.
Yeah, after a while, I don't know. I don't need it, so I don't know.
Oh man.
It was like in the brain of John.
Another one asks, would you say frame is mostly being rooted in a strong philosophy or ideological framework such as Islam? If that's the case, is your ability to maintain and improve with knowledge? Yes. But then this also goes back to like, you got to find a religious woman. You know, if you have like very strong religion, you know, and practice of it, that's not going to have an effect on a woman who's irreligious. You know, it's not going to have any sort of it's not going to have any sort of like what do you call it? Effect frame of a woman who doesn't practice the religion. You know, and the same is conversely. If a woman is religious, and this is not a guy I want to deal with. You know, so yes, absolutely. This is part of vetting, though. You know, I just had a brother hit me up on a message today, and he was like, you know, I got this sister, and she's interested, and she's interested, and but she's like in the car listening to music and dancing and stuff. He's like, I'm not really feeling that because he's a brother who practices. So this goes both ways in terms of like a guy and what he's looking for in terms of his vetting and selection also. It's like building a kingdom, and it's your woman folk that are adopted into it. And some congruence tests are to test how strong you are or how virtuous. Yeah, they're always gonna, Rollo Tomasi talks about this a lot. In which book was it? It was book 3. Was it book 3? No, it was book 2. Book 2. And he was talking about like how women will constantly reassess as to whether or not they made the right decision, the right choice in terms of the partner that they're with. And it's only gonna get worse the more social media remains as like a dominant force in the lives of women, and constant and consistent attention at all times. And that's something you have to vet for also, when we're talking on this topic right now, because you're going to be competing with social media for your woman and her attention. And that's not a position you want to be in. Yeah. 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 Oh, how long you been on here? An hour and 10 minutes. Want to take a few more questions, or I'm gonna close it off here. Anybody? Anything? This was like highly unplanned. Like I said, it was supposed to be more like an interview. Like that was supposed to be more or less aimed at like sisters, especially those bitter sisters who don't believe that people can be happy in terms of a polygynous relationship. I can't say it's perfect, but I'm happy. Is everybody happy here? Man, you better watch what you say. This is no, straight up, because I never asked. I never asked because I look at their actions, and so I know I got a general idea how things are going. But I'd like to know. So how's everybody? How's everybody doing in this relationship here?
I'm happy, alhamdulillah, because my happiness is not from human. It's not came from human.
Alhamdulillah. No comment? You want to? Yeah, here's the door, Becky. Right there. Here's the door back there, Becky.
Alhamdulillah, all good.
Alhamdulillah. For now?
For now.
What the hell does that mean for now? Well, you see, this is why Abuamerican doesn't stop hunting. See, this is why I don't stop hunting.
Exactly, because of that. Yeah, you're happy.
If she's happy, are you gonna stop hunting?
Hey, you weren't supposed to call me out. Hey,
so if she's happy, you're gonna stop hunting.
Video, or it didn't happen. Oh, wait, darn! It's on video.
Gotcha now.
Yeah, stop hunting.
I'm gonna give you a new name, relationship terrorist.
Yeah. You got background. Didn't just hear. So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, you say something. I asked you.
What? You asked me what? What's
if she's happy, are you gonna stop hunting?
No.
Exactly.
Right?
What's the point then?
Yeah. Yeah, no. I hunt for me. I don't hunt for you.
What?
I said I'm hunting for me. I'm not hunting for you.
Yeah, but the thing is that this has impact on us, and you have to understand that.
Well, I said that earlier.
That's a lot
Didn't
of
I?
stress.
Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that it has an effect? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of stress. But why? Why are you stressed?
Because I don't want to share my husband.
Now.
I'm still the same.
It's been like years. This has been late.
I still don't want to fine. 2 days enough. No more than that.
Where did this rule come in? Where did the 2 in the rule? 2 is enough rule come from? Where'd that come from?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Exactly.
I hadn't heard that one. I don't remember signing that contract.
But we didn't sign any contracts.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna call this. I got stuff to do here in the real world.
Before it getting worse.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we get in trouble.
Oh,
We
okay.
get in trouble, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's gonna be okay.
Hey, you know, I'll take a challenge any day. Y'all guys want to duke it out? Let's do it. You know, I got jokes for years. Yeah. Well, reality is what?
That's what reality
Who's
is
here
like.
right now? Who's here right now? What's the reality? You go to London and you keep coming back. It's reality,
Yeah,
right?
because I want to come back.
You know the reality. There you go, right there. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for making my point.
Exactly.
She just made my point. She doesn't even catch it. Walaikum salam. She, yeah, you didn't even catch my point. See, she just made my point for me. It's a beautiful thing. Preselection holders. There you go. There you go. That's the proof right there. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
High five to Team Guy here on YouTube. Yeah. Wassalam. T4, wassalam. Don't forget to drop me that email, man. Yeah. Well. Okay, I guess that's it then. Guys, thanks for listening in. Yeah. We're not going to be able to do this often, of course, you know. Becky and Ling and whatnot, you know. It's just not something I really generally do, but yeah. It was more supposed to be for, like, you know, interview for type sisters type stuff. But since we were all gathered and it was agreed upon, you know, we did it. It's your man, Abuamerican. Catch me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can catch me on Stitcher. That's the podcast. And this will not be a podcast. It's too long. All at Abuamerican. And I am out. If I can find the stop button on this.